Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel. Today we're looking at a brand new product by David Jonathan, and that is ColorSync. This is a product that I have really good things to say but also some major drawbacks for. I'm kind of split on it. So I do think that what I have to say may be pertinent to some people more so than others. So I really do think this is going to be an informative review regarding ColorSync. So stick around after the intro to learn more about the product. Let's roll it and get straight into the review. Perfect, so you decide to stick along, which means you want to learn more about ColorSync. Now, what is ColorSync? In its simplest form, it's a color matching effect, similar to ESP matching effect or any other matching effect, but this one uses colors. Now I'm gonna perform it for you. I don't have a spectator, so I'll try and adapt myself to this, and I also have to make sure, because I know the angle of my camera is really low, so I'll have to hold the cards in a bit of a weird way to not flash anything. But nonetheless, you present that you have 5 black cards to your spectator. You show them that they're with colors on the front and they're black on the back, and you ask them to shuffle, and you show them that you have the same 5 colors on the front of yours, but of course on the back your cards are white. So then you can ask your spectator to give them just a small shuffle. You can do the same. They're gonna do that as well. They're just gonna give this a small shuffle, just like that. And then you tell your spectator to essentially guess what card this is. So if they can intuit what card is here without looking among theirs. So they're gonna take this one and place it on top, and you say, perfect. So we're gonna place that pair right there. We're gonna do it again. What do you think matches this one? Let's say they say this one. So you're gonna take it, you're gonna place them together, and you place them down on the mat. You do it again with these, you place them down, just like that, again with the next one, and then of course, you're left with just one, so you ask them to place it on top of your cards. Now I tell them free choices all the way through. How did you do? And in this case, it's pink. So they got a perfect match on these. You then show the next pair right here, a perfect match of greens. You then show the next pair, a perfect match of yellows. The next pair, a perfect match of red. And then the last pair, of course, is everything matches. The last pair will be a perfect match as well, a perfect match of blues. So they managed to get a perfect match of the colors. Now that is ColorSync in its simplest way, not in the intended way it's supposed to be performed, because I have a bit of gripes with that, but we're gonna get into the review. But this is my favorite way of performing it and how I will perform it if I do perform it. And we'll get to that more into as we progress into the review. Now, where do you buy this? How much does it cost? And what do you get? You can buy this at Penguin Magic. It costs $29.99 USD, and you get your typical P3 nice hardcover packaging with magnetic opening, and inside you get your cards. So you get your cards that are gimmicked, so the cards are not inspectable, but you get your 5 black cards and the other cards that the magician uses, which are the white cards, which are gimmicked. So the white cards are gimmicked, but the black cards that the spectator shuffles and uses are not. So that is one thing I want to mention. That's what you get alongside the instructional video, which goes over how to set up the effect, how it works, how it came out to be, how to perform it in the hands, how to perform it on the table, the best ways to perform it, the cleanup and the reset, everything that you would need to know, explained expertly well by David Jonathan. So also let's clear up a few things here. So before we get into the rest of the review, one, the reset of the effect is super quick. I know that's something that people want to know. Super quick. I could literally reset it in front of you, but of course I would expose the method, so I won't, but it literally takes like 3 seconds to reset it. Another thing is that this effect was published and shown to be an in-the-hand version, so solely in the hand, no table needed, where at the end you spread the cards like this and you show it to the spectator and show that everything matched. Now, I don't know if my cards weren't gimmicked as they were supposed to, or if the fact that it's really, really cold in Canada, and since the product comes from like California where it's super hot, and as the cards came into like really cold weather and they sat on my porch for a bit and they were transported in cold weather, maybe the change of temperature affected the way the cards are gimmicked. I won't say more about that, but I literally cannot do the in the hands version It simply does not work for me and for the way the cards are gimmicked, which is unfortunate because I just can't. Like, I could definitely reapply or re-gimmick my cards, if I may say that, not to tip too much, and it would work. But having performed it a few times at the table and having performed it to some close family members in the hands as practice and had their input, I honestly think the table version is actually more clean than the in the hands version. I actually think the table version is much better, much cleaner, and more impressive, personally. So yeah, that's interesting. But I do want to mention that probably if you're in the US and it's not super cold, or maybe if your cards are made a bit better, you'll have no issues in doing the in the hand version. Again, you can, fix everything up and work around it if the case ensues. But nonetheless, that's what I wanted to mention before we start into the review. Now let's get into difficulty. Is Color Sync difficult to perform? And the answer is no. It's pretty easy. It's not intermediate and it's not neither beginner. I would say easy to intermediate. It's definitely not hard. You will need a bit of audience management because, as I mentioned, the cards are gimmicked, so they're not going to be able to be handled by the spectator or taken for inspection. But of course, if you do the version of the in the hands, then of course you just show them, you take them, you place them back in your pocket, and you move on. So the spectator won't even have a chance of picking them up. And if you do it at the table, then it depends on your environment. You'll have to, once you're done with the effect, just take the cards and say, that was interesting, right? Place them in your pocket and move on and not have them grab at it. So probably the only difficulty of this is going to be to make sure that, you deal with the non-inspectability of the props. But except for that, it is pretty much almost self-working. The effect almost works itself, and it's super, super easy to do. So difficulty-wise, nothing much. Now about practicality. Is this effect practical to perform? Yes. Now, I'm sure that David Jonathan and most of the people that bought this and have tested it out, and I know for a fact that the routine in the hands works, which it doesn't really work for me. I know that works because people have been performing it and they said it works for them. So maybe I've just got on bad batch or whatever. But that routine is basically foolproof. You can do it standing up, you can do it on the table, you can do it sitting down, you can do it running, you can do it anywhere. It's super practical. You only need the cards and you don't need anything else. As in the trailer, he does it on the street to people. So that's great. Practicality wise, you just carry around the stack of cards and that's it. So super, super practical. You can put these in a small envelope or in anything like a small Ziploc bag or whatever you want, or in your wallet, and you can do this effect at a moment's notice. So super, super, super practical. Now, of course, if you want to do the effect on the table, as I performed it, you will need a table. So except for that, the effect is really, really practical because it can be done standing up with no need for any environmental props like a table, or you can do it the one at the table if it fits your needs and fits your needs. And yeah, all you will need is a table. So practicality wise, A1. Now, what about where to perform this? Where do you perform this? So again, I kind of hinted about it in the previous section. This can be performed pretty much anywhere. You can perform it standing up, which means you can do this walk around, table hopping, restaurants, bar, club, street, casual performances, and an amusement park, at a festival, wherever you want. You could literally perform this wherever you want. And then if you're a more expert performer, or if you want to perform at a table, or you have your parlor show at a table, or a corporate event at a table, you can perform this, the tabled version if you wish, which I think is the best one. You can perform the table version, and again, all you'll need is a table. So pretty much this is an effect that you literally perform anywhere, anytime, anywhere. I know the last few effects I've been reviewing don't really have that anytime, anywhere kind of stamp on them, but this one really has it. You can literally perform this anytime, anywhere, as long as you have your cards on you. So that said, let's get into the positives and the negatives. What are the negatives of the effect? So the first negative is that the cards aren't inspectable, so you cannot inspect the cards. Second of all, You will maybe have to refresh your cards eventually in order for them to work as intended. As I mentioned, for me, they haven't worked for the standing up performance out of the box pretty much at all. So that is definitely not something that's absolutely great, because if you get a batch like that and you bought the effect specifically for that effect and it doesn't work as intended, it's a bit of a bummer that you're gonna have to spend some more money to kind of re-gimmick your cards, which is definitely not something that you would want to do. And another negative is that I've seen kind of some people spew around is the fact that you show the cards like these, like this, instead of showing them by pairs. But that is not a negative, because you can literally, even if you do the in the hand version, you can literally just show the cards 2 by 2 and show, don't tell me, but have these ones matched. They say yes, you put them on the bottom. Have these ones matched? Yes, put them on the bottom, etc. So you're not obliged for your show of the cards to literally be only tell me if it's good and then put them down, close it. You can literally take them 2 by 2, as I did with the table version, in your hands. You can do that as well. So I didn't want to mention that. So that's all I have to say a bit about the negatives. What are the positives? The positives are it's super easy to do. It's super practical to carry. You can perform it anytime, anywhere. I feel that the effect is interesting with colors, etc. And the matching part of it really is interesting. It doesn't have any fishy moves. That's why personally I like the table version, because in the hand version you have to take the pairs and put them on the bottom, and maybe someone's gonna think, oh, something's happening at the bottom, or it has extra cards at the bottom or anything like that. But on the table version, it is so clean. You just spread the card, you take them, boom, you place the pair on the table. The next one, boom, you place the pair on the table. And then all you do is no fishy. You can go hands clean. You just take the pairs and you spread. Take the next pair and spread. Take the next pair and spread. It is super clean and super fair, which is definitely a positive. The fairness of the procedure is definitely a positive. And also I do want to shout out the instructional video, because I think it's really good. That's not something I usually do, but I do think that's a positive for this one. It truly goes over all the variations and the ways you can present this. And David Jonathan is a really likable guy, so he makes it interesting to learn and to listen to his tidbits of information. So that's all I have to say. Now, would I recommend this product? Would I not? And what do I rate it out of 10? Do I recommend ColorSync? Yes, I do. Even with my small hiccup that I have, it is definitely something that you can fix and not a groundbreaker, because essentially I was adamant on doing the in the hands version, but as I was performing it, honestly, I fell in love with the tabled version. I really think the tabled version is so clean and so good that I don't even care that the in the hand version doesn't even work as advertised for me, but even then it's fixable. Second of all, I would recommend this because it's just a fun effect. So I really, even though I have some gripes with it, I do recommend it. I do think for the price, it's a really good effect. However, eventually, these are not as other David Jonathan products PVC cards, because you cannot do this with PVC cards. So eventually the cards are gonna wear out. Now comes the deal if you're gonna have to rebuy the entire 30-box package every single time for refills, or if refills are gonna be offered to you, or just cards. But if not, I can definitely see how you can make these up yourselves, but definitely the refill thing and the wear and tear of the cards is gonna play around with your money, because if you perform this a lot, this will probably not last you a year or so, right? It's probably gonna last you like 6 months if you do this every single day at every table, maybe even less. So that's definitely a thing. But if you're a professional performer and you do get paid for your gigs, 30 bucks every few so months is not gonna be that much of a deal breaker. But I am interested in learning to see if there's gonna be some refills. Bottom line, since I'm starting to ramble again, as I usually do, I do recommend ColorSync by David Jonathan. I do think it's a good effect, and I really do think that is one that I would recommend for you. So what would I rate it out of 10? I would rate ColorSync by David Jonathan an 8 out of 10. It's a good effect. It has some drawbacks, especially for me, for something that I can't perform as intended. I cannot give it higher than an 8, right? Even though it works specifically well for everything, for everyone else, you simply cannot give it a higher score if it doesn't work as intended for you in some of its facets. So that's why I give it an 8, purely because the at the table version works perfectly and it works splendidly. So I recommend this. It's a good product, and it's another good published product by Penguin and by David Jonathan, similar to Fortuna, which we looked at in my previous video. So definitely go check that one out. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching, subscribing, commenting, talking with me, interacting with me. I appreciate every single one of you. And with that, I'll see you in my next video. Have a good weekend and